Hello everyone, my name is Joel Peter and welcome back to a brand new video. Now today we're going to be talking about cameras, using a webcam for your stream setup as a face cam, and finally the different types of face cams that you can use if you're on a budget. Specifically, we're going to be talking about this little $25 capture card that I picked up. It came yesterday and it is pretty great for what it does. There are a few caveats, and we'll get to that in a second. We're also going to talk about using the USB option with this camera, which is a Canon EOS Rebel SL2. And then we're also going to be talking about the Logitech C920. And finally, we'll also look at Droidcam OBS, specifically with my Galaxy S10. The pros right off the bat of going with a DSLR setup is immediately quality. Your quality is going to look phenomenal. You've got lenses galore. You could just zoom in like crazy. There is a caveat with going with this setup, which is just USB with a USB mini cable that, you know, the ones that you get with your PlayStation controllers, which we can go ahead and show right now. You can see it's that end, right? Standard USB-A, then mini mini USB. Another thing with DSLRs is you do have a wide variety of lenses that you can use. So you're going to have a much cleaner picture, but there's a lot of caveats that go with that. Number one, price is probably going to be the biggest thing that's going to hold you back as a streamer. If your quality content isn't great, it doesn't matter if you have $1 million setup, you're not going to get the views that you're looking at. So you got to always make sure you're providing valuable content first. All right. So we have this 18 to 55 millimeter lens on this DSLR again, and we're just using it through USB. SL2, great camera, and we've got the kit lens on, and this works perfectly fine. It looks nice enough. It improves your quality, and I think you're going to be definitely impressed with what we can do. All right, so we've got that. The next one is going to be using a capture card, the $25 that capture card that I picked off Amazon, and you're going to be relatively surprised, but there's a few caveats that come with using this capture card. So we'll talk about that now. All right, so now we actually have the Canon SL2 recording with our HDMI capture card, which we picked up for $16, $17 on Amazon plus tax. We are using, again, the 18 to 55 millimeter kit lens. And one of the problems of using this camera is that if you're not recording, and that requires you to have a little red dot at the top, then you will be able to make this work. You have a 30-minute recording limit that you can't disable. That is a con to running it through a capture card, but you also get to control the size of your image, and you can do more with the capture card. So that's kind of a caveat. But when you're recorded, you hold it down and then you just remove it, and there you go. You've removed the area. Okay, so that is one of the benefits of running through a capture card. Is a cleaner image, and you can adjust things on the fly and do as you please with it. Now we're running through device default. We're currently looking at about a 1080p 30 FPS image, and that is fine for everything that we've got going on. So you might be saying, okay, well, if that's the high-end setup, what does the lower end setup look like? What does the C920 look like? Well, we'll show you. So yeah, the webcam itself works well enough. It's a go-to, and if you don't have it set up right, this is what your webcam by default will look like, okay? And our autofocus, yeah, so this is basically kind of where your webcam will be at stock. And it doesn't look great. So if you modify things, and you make it look better, you can do a whole lot. And there you go. That's the C920. Now, the last one we have on the table today going to be our trusty Galaxy S10 using Droidcam OBS. Droidcam I've been using for many years, but I think you're going to be incredibly surprised by how versatile this is. So this is Droidcam OBS, and if we move it over to our webcam here, this is a side-by-side picture, okay? Here it is, all the cameras at once being used. On the left-hand side, which we have right here, we've got our capture card. We have our Logitech C920 right about here, and we have our Droidcam OBS with Galaxy S10 running here. Now, again, it's all dependent on your light, right? This camera is far better, but because my lighting isn't the absolute greatest, and because of ISO settings, it's definitely seeming a little bit worse. But the C920, which we can see in the set over here, does have better colors when it has better lighting. Now, with the C920, that's as good as it's going to get, right? Realistically, you can't get it any better because it can't take any more light just because of the way it's built. The S10 has a phenomenal camera. The iPhone 12 Pro has a great camera. It's all dependent on what you can afford. So my advice for you, if you're getting into streaming, you're getting into content creation, or heck, you just want a webcam, You don't want to go spend money on a C920. This camera right here will work fine. But if you have the money, a DSLR is going to have higher, sharper quality. And again, I don't have it set up best. But again, for a face cam, you know, in the middle or bottom left or bottom right-hand corner of your screen, all of these will be perfectly fine. If you have the money for a DSLR, DSLR is going to be the best setup. But if you don't have a C920, you can always go with your camera. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to just test my Elgato HD60S, and then we'll basically do the final thoughts and analysis. And as you can see, we have the Canon SL2 running through the Elgato HD60S. So you can get a general sense of what it's going to be like using this. But again, we have the little red dot there, which is going to be a little annoying. I couldn't find any way to disable it. And overall, I'm going to still say that your best option, if you can afford it, is go with this option or a cam link. But if you can't afford that, then go with the $16 to $25 capture card that I have showed you earlier. And if that's not an option, then you can always use a Logitech C920. And if that's not an option, then you can always go with your phone. Just get a tripod or just get a little smartphone mount, put that behind your monitor, and you're good to go. And there's your face cam. So we'll go ahead and do our conclusion here in a second. All right, conclusion time. The Logitech C920 is probably going to be your best bet if you can get your hands on one. Your cell phone is going to be the absolute best bet because almost everyone has a smartphone nowadays, especially streamers. The Canon SL2 is going to be the best quality with capture card, but when it comes down to it, really, the best option is going to be the Canon SL2 with the USB cable. You don't have the 30-minute recording limit. You don't have the little red dot, and you don't need an SD card in here, and you can also still use a dummy battery and not worry about your camera overheating. So you got to be careful with that as well when you're using a DSLR. So my advice for you, hands down, TLDR, if you can afford one, C920 is going to be best bang for your buck when plug and play, set up right. Best quality is going to be a DSLR, and if you don't have any of those options and you have a modern Android phone or iPhone, then the best option is going to be your cell phone. Don't spend more than you can afford on things because, again, if your content isn't quality, people aren't going to watch you. Doesn't matter if you have a $1,000 setup or a $50 setup. I would definitely invest into a better microphone than anything else. But at the end of the day, this was just a test, and it's great for YouTube as well, especially if you're doing your live streams and you want to record things directly into OBS, because a lot of people do. So there's my conclusions. If you like this video, smack the like button for the YouTube algorithm, share this with your streamer friends and content creator friends, and subscribe for more content. I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Feel better. Happy 2021.